Live. Oh, like what?
Welcome to Halas Hall Report, live every Saturday night. Welcome to Halas Hall Report, live every Saturday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time and Sunday mornings at 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Live talking Chicago Bears football with Mike the Bear Fan. And your host, Ken Dobb. Also on the panel, we have the football analyst, Woody, who is named for the Woody wrap-up on game days. Next on the panel, we have Bear Down Mike. He is the youngest, but don't be fooled. This guy knows this Bear squad. He can bring a different insight. Halas Hall Report breaks down the Chicago Bears team all year long, from the offseason through the draft. Also, the legend of tailgating, Billy Defense Flores, joins the crew live at 1st and 10 tailgating. You can find him at all home games at Soldiers Field. Also, the Bear Fan, who has been here since the first year of Halas Hall Report, welcome Bear Fan Dan, where he is known for studs and duds after every game. You can find them on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Roku if you have a TV. They are all over social media. You won't find no better sources for Chicago Bears news like injury reports, team updates for breaking news for all the good and the bad the team does. Halas Hall Report will be live for the 6th season. And they are teaming up with the best sports podcast out on social media.
This is Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good evening, Chicago Bears fans. Welcome to another edition of Halas Hall Report on Roku, on Facebook, on YouTube. We are coming to you from all over the country in a place that doesn't need to hang banners every time they win a division championship or a playoff game every 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 decades. Good evening, everyone. Bear Down Mike, how you doing this evening?
No, I'm doing great. How about you, Ken?
Well, it's the weekend. What's not to like? It's beautiful. Well, I wouldn't say beautiful weather, but it's warmer weather in Florida than it is up north. So I got that going for me. D-Roy from Skull in the house, fresh off another episode of his show that precedes ours every Saturday night. Running solo tonight, coming on with us this evening. He'll be on here in a minute. And then, of course, producer Mike working the magic in the background, bringing us the facts, bringing us a bunch of good stuff every time we need it. So much so the crowd just has to go rejoice. So let's start the show off with a little something I don't know nearly that much about, to be honest. I had kind of a not normal Bears football day today. Good evening, Chad. Good evening. Good to see you here. As always, Bears had a hire today. Matt Pease, defensive analyst. I don't know much about him. Mike was telling me stuff about the show. Mike, can you speak about Matt Pease at all?
I don't know much about him. All I know is he was in Atlanta for a little while and the Tennessee Titans.
What was his position there? In Tennessee and in Atlanta.
Just a second, I'll look it up.
Well, he looks that up. Look, guys, I mean, a lot of these assistants and analysts, obviously we don't have a lot of background. Let's be real. Some of these cats are guys who are just getting into the league, and that's how they get their break to move up. And we don't know a lot about these coaches. Some of them turn out to be really good. Some of them don't. Some become head coaches later in life, i.e. like a certain ball boy who turned into a head coach in Miami, right? So, we're not going to know a lot. And you know what the funny thing is, even if as you look at coaches, you look at head coaches, and when they were like an assistant somewhere, everyone was like, who the hell is this guy? And some got fired quick. So it's like, analysts and team. He's an analyst, right? That's what we brought. Yeah, defensive analyst. So he's basically like us, but getting paid to do it.
Right. In Atlanta, he was the defensive assistant coach. And also in Atlanta, the same thing. Tennessee. It was defensive quality control.
So basically, he's us, except he gets paid to do it, and he's got more experience in the league than we do, obviously. And he's looking just at the defense and probably certain pieces of the defense. Chad, we are going to get into that. I'm happy you asked that. We've been avoiding the Justin Fields talk. Let's be honest. I mean, we've heard it for like 3 months straight, and it's like hearing the same song over and over and over. You know what I'm saying? So we kind of went away, but the last 2 weeks there's actually been some stuff to report. So I'll throw this up first, and I'll leave it up there for a second, and I'll let Bear Down Mike give me his first gut reaction to what Roddy White had to say about Justin Fields.
Well, Joseph Fields in the first place, first choice. Yeah, I mean, Justin never got a full shot being a Bear. He's going through a rebuild. It's sort of still kind of rebuild, and I mean, it happens. You know, everybody expected him to make this huge jump, and he hasn't. And it's, you know, to his fault of his own, but also the upper management never gave him a shot. So he got a raw deal. He's gonna be missed for sure.
Yeah, D-Rod, I know, like, as a Vikings fan, you almost got to be sitting there going, Bears fan, what the hell are you thinking? You know, what are you doing? I mean, you guys, what are your thoughts?
I think, you know, it'd be stupid to let Fields go and then relive the same situation in a sense.
He's a scapegoat.
Yeah. I mean, and we love our scapegoats in Chicago, don't we? I mean, Jay Cutler was a scapegoat forever until people realized, well, damn, Jay Cutler was actually pretty damn good. You know, it's just, I don't, it's a rebuild. Management knows it's a rebuild. Team knew it was a rebuild. Fans were told it was a rebuild, but it's like the fans just said, what rebuild? There was a rebuild? We don't rebuild. What are you talking about? You know, TJ Moore has, asked on NFL Network the other day, and he was being apolitical because, look, Jason says, the very first question, he goes, just not trying to say the QB's in the top. Where's your number one team? Who just had a career year with Justin Fields? I mean, that's like if Jefferson came out in Minnesota and said, I want Kirk Cousins, they would have to take them. They would take JJ seriously about that, wouldn't they? In retaining Kirk Cousins, they'd have to. You'd almost have to.
Right.
So,
yeah, we get the wide receiver is going to stick up for the quarterback, but there's a lot of wide receivers that do not. Do you think any of those guys on the Jets are rooting for Zach Wilson to stay? No.
Hell no.
No, they said go get traded, dude. Go.
Yeah, get the hell out of here. You know.
So let's go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
All right, so let's walk the dog, shall we? We like to do some dog walking every so often. We didn't know it, but we all just got hired on to be professional Justin Field dog walkers. All right. So if he's traded, that's the cap situation. If he's traded, that's what the team that gets him in a trade. Well, obviously we reset if we trade him, we reset the 5-year clock. Even though it's funny, let's say we took Caleb Williams at 1, the money is near identical for this year for what Justin would be paid this year. That's how much the rookie contracts have gone up over the last couple of years. So in real savings for the Bears this year, negligible. But that's what he's looking at. I mean, 6 years, $283 million Spotrac projected numbers. I'm digging. Spotrac has been they're pretty close. They're within the margin of error, shall we say? I guess that'd be a good way of putting it. Not that we are endorsed by Spotrac, but just from us using them over the years. That's a lot of money. So would you be willing to pay that kind of money there, Mike, for Justin to keep him?
No, I would do is I keep him 1 more year, decline his 5th-year option. It's make it or break it. You got to make the playoffs. And now, if he made the playoffs, I would give him like a Jordan Love deal.
So wait a minute. I mean, now I think you're underselling him, though. Now you're treating him badly because Spotrac is saying he's worth $6,283. So let's say if he gets traded to Atlanta, which we're going to talk about the Falcons specifically in a second. Let's say he gets traded anywhere. They're saying that's the contract that someone's going to have to sign him to. So what makes you think we could lowball him like that? And have him be happy.
Got to prove it. He's still, his passing numbers are still pretty bad.
Yeah, but he's improved. He hasn't really had a wide receiver except for last year with DJ Moore. Other than that, all he's really had was Komet. And he did improve. Imagine him with another weapon. And you got to look at it too. Like, he's still on his rookie deal. He's got one more year. We could pick up his 5th-year option. I'm kind of different than what you just said, Mike. We have nobody to back up and take Justin Fields' spot on the roster right now. So I'm not saying we're forced to do that 5th-year option, but I think it's the best interest of the Bears to do that. Now, they could draft a quarterback. I don't think they're going to do it in the first round. Well, with the first pick anyway. You know what I mean? Just depends what we do in the offseason. But
Well,
I think Justin Fields.
I'm all for keeping Justin because we kept Flus. That is the only reason. Because I'm
In
sick
every-
of doing this back and forth.
Well, he's never had the same offensive coordinator. It's been different every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had Getsky for 2 years in a row, but you got to remember Nagy called most of the plays that one year, so he didn't even have the same offensive play calling.
He's had 3 offensive coordinators. Ridiculous.
in 3 years.
Mhm.
So let me ask this. Let's go down to D-Roy. Dude, you got to be sitting here once again looking, going, Bears fans, are you stupid or what? What's the as a Minnesota fan watching us talk about this, right? Having this debate, what is going through your head? Because I mean, you've had solid play from Kirk Cousins, who didn't tear the cover off the ball. You know, when he came to you guys from Washington, he was a pretty standard quarterback, but he's been absolutely solid for you guys, the contract. So when you look at the field situation compared to, say, Cousins, you got to be looking at us like, dude, are you crazy? I mean, that's how I think you must be looking. But how you look?
Yeah, I mean, extend the guy, give some pieces around him, see what he can do. I mean, I wouldn't jump too far into grabbing a quarterback and then risk it just all falling down.
Well, and the other thing too, let me bring up what this proposed contract from Spotrac would be: 6 at 283. I mean, you could do that in such a way where the only money you're really on the hook for is maybe in the first 2 years, 3 years, and then you have ways to escape it and get out of it and not have a lot of dead cap. So I mean, you're not going to I mean, you can franchise tag, and that's going to be 25 mil anyway. 25, 30 mil. I don't know what that number is going to be. I think he's making 23 next year. I'm not sure what the 5th year is on that. But it's significant. Yeah, I agree with you. Nagy didn't develop any quarterback. He didn't think he had to because they did so well with Trubisky for that first 2018 years. Like, I don't have to do anything, but obviously he was wrong. But I mean,
so is Justin worth $47 million a year?
Yeah, according to Spotrac, he is. According to Spotrac,
that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money.
It's literally market
according to
value.
Spotrac, market value. It's the market value. That's why I like Spotrac. It is gauging the actual market value given the trends in the dollars already spent in the NFL and where things are going. And like, they're plus or minus a little bit, right? It's not perfect. That's kind of, and it might look at just because they say
figure.
they say 6 at 283 doesn't mean it can't be 6 at 220. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, there's probably some room there, but I mean, you're going to have to sign him. And I think Poles already is committed to Fields as of last year when he traded out number 1. That married him to Fields. People make that argument. Oh, well, he didn't draft him. He's not married to him. No, he's married to him. He could have replaced him with the number 1 pick in the draft last year. He's married to him now. Like, Poles has already said, Fields is my guy, right? By doing that. And if he does it again this year, he's definitely saying, this is my guy. So I would say with the way they sprinkled magic GM dust on contracts too, the money thing is not, look at Danny Dimes getting $40-some million a year, and he's not nearly as good as Justin Fields. And
I get you.
That's what someone's gonna have to pay. Like, if we trade him, we're still talking. If he is traded, right? That's what the projected contracts, and because like if you're, and we'll talk about Atlanta here in a minute, but if you're Atlanta, Vegas, Pittsburgh, whoever, you're not going to trade for him.
Pittsburgh.
Well, Justin doesn't get a say, so it doesn't. I mean, but that's all.
I know.
So that's irrelevant.
But if folks are going to do right by him, I would say.
But all that's irrelevant right now for the conversation we're having, right? wherever he
Right.
goes, I just listed off a bunch of teams. They're going to have to extend him because let me take it to an outsider again. D-Roy, you're sitting in Minnesota. You just traded for your new quarterback. Your new quarterback is coming to his 4th year with a 5th-year option. If your team does not sign him to an extension within a week of him getting there, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking either they're dumb or they just went to Vegas because that's a gamble.
So, yeah, Fields is going to get a contract extension or some type of contract by June 1st, probably. He's going to get something. I'm not saying June 1st. He's going to get either a tag or an extension, one of the two, whether he's a Bear or not. But let's talk about him not being a Bear anymore. So a week ago, we were told that we are stupid if we don't think he's going to be traded and that Atlanta was a lock. Really? Really? Atlanta was a lock, huh?
Yep. Yeah. They prefer Kirk Cousins because his wife is from that area. And he's definitely better than Justin right now. No doubt Kirk is better than Justin, but yeah, it seems like the Falcons want Kirk Cousins over Fields.
I'm sure Atlanta pretty much wants anything besides Ritter. They'll take Russell Wilson, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
But
that's true.
But Fields is from Atlanta. It's home. But he wants to go home. They want him at home in Atlanta. I'm being sarcastic right now. I get it.
Oh, I know.
Dude, this is the crap. This is the crap we've been getting shoved down our throats from all these, from Packer fans, Lions fans. I would say Viking fans, but no Viking fan has said that because they're like, we got a quarterback issues of our own. They're like, we're not saying anything. Maybe they won't talk about us. But I mean, every other fan base has been telling us how he's going to Atlanta. He's going to Atlanta. Atlanta doesn't even want him. And then a report comes out today that the trade market for Fields is soft. It's a soft market for him. A week ago, it was hot and heavy. Now it's soft. So what do you think? What do you make of that, Mike?
What's that? Oh, which Mike?
You. I want producer Mike. I'll go producer Mike. Why don't you say Mike? We'll just go to you. That'll be the simple way for future. So I mean, what do you think about that, Mike? I mean, for all the crap that has been shoved down our throats from all the talking heads everywhere and fans from other fan bases, to now it's a soft market, and Atlanta doesn't even want him. Whereas on Wednesday, remember on Wednesday, he's going to Atlanta. It's a done deal, right? I mean,
I wouldn't say they did. They didn't want him. Maybe the value's too high that what's Poles asking. Not to mention, like you said, as soon as they grab him, they're going to have to give him pretty much an extension, and that's a pretty big penny. You know what I mean? To do.
Nope.
Yeah, it's. I mean, go ahead,
I remember on the podcast, he also said he doesn't want to go there because of friends and family wanting tickets all the time.
Yeah. He said that on the same
I would kind of feel the same way. I don't want my, friends that I've known in high school bugging the shit out of me for tickets.
Well, I mean, we can ask Cole Kmet about that. He's born and raised in Arlington Heights. If they build a new stadium in Arlington Heights, he could walk there from his parents' house. Literally.
It's two different players, though. Cole Kmet wants to play for his hometown. Justin doesn't. He doesn't mind to play.
I'm saying he could ask Cole what the burden's like, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Justin's enjoying his time in Chicago. Like they said on the Brown and Browns podcast, he just wants to know what's going on, regardless of what it is. Am I going to be a Bear? Am I being shipped away? And Poles is even saying, I'm keeping my options open. He's literally still not saying anything different than what he did 30 days ago. It's still the same.
I mean, and let's be real here. If his goal is to keep Justin and trade out of number one, he's achieving that, right? Because you could look. Hey, good evening, Linda. Happy to see you watching on Roku as always, and of course we'll see you tomorrow on Roku and Monday morning on Roku, along with Frozen Tundra, who is on at 5 and will be on, of course, Monday at 5 p.m. as well on Roku. As we're growing the Roku family base with Halas Hall, Ken and Ken, and Frozen Tundra, and maybe a Vikings show in the future, Linda. Hint, hint. He's in the bottom right-hand corner, a new Vikings guy. So, you know, the thing that's interesting about this, so Poles' whole idea was to basically get paid to take the guy he wants. I almost think this is working. Everything that's working in his favor right now. Like his plan is working because last year we did it with Philly, right? We got them to pay us to take who we wanted to take in the first round. If I can get another team to pay me to take who I want in the first round, why wouldn't I at least try it, right?
But I mean, just like last year, when they dropped, 8-9 spots, and they gained a lot of value just to do that. They didn't even drop out of the first round, and they pretty, 2 first rounders with DJ Moore, like it can't get any better than that.
Right.
So
and you also got with the purchase next year's second too as well. Like that's a hell of a deal.
And you got to remember,
I think everybody's calling Poles bluff.
No, he did a lot of hard moves. He dropped Roquan, didn't drop him, but traded Roquan, did the same thing to Quinn. You know what I mean? He did a lot of trades and moving around, and we gained a lot of people. We wouldn't have Brisker if that wasn't the case. We wouldn't have Stevenson if that wasn't the case. We wouldn't have Wright if it wasn't the case. So he's definitely doing his thing in the draft and trading.
But getting ahead, and like in this year's draft, getting a historic haul, you think that's a possibility?
Not quite 2 years in a row, I'm going to say.
That's why I'm saying I think teams are calling his bluff.
I was going to say that in a minute, because I would say first I believe this is happening, right? And this is the guy on the left there, Marvin Harrison Jr. is the guy that we want to take, right? In fact, I hope his jersey number's 3, so we have a good 1, 2, 3 punch. However,
that'd be awesome. Or the 0.
If this
0,
happened, no, someone's already wearing 0.
Who's wearing 0?
Nobody for the Bears that I know of.
Oh, maybe no one. Maybe no one is wearing 0. Anywho, if this happens, I think it happens because he's able to sell Caleb to Washington or to New England, and that's what I'm saying. Like we want to. I think I've said it from the get go. You guys know I've said it like a broken record. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is the guy we're taking, and now with the soft trade market for Fields, because everyone believes we're taking a quarterback. Thank you, Dre. Every so often. I
mean, I wouldn't mind drafting a quarterback, but I'd love to see Marvin Harrison Jr. first and then pick a quarterback with the 9th. Really depends what we do.
The free agency, that's always been a constant. But if your plan has been Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best guy on the board, that's the guy we want. We're keeping Justin. That's been your plan. But that's been his plan since the end of the season. If you can get Washington, you know what historic can be for me, honestly? You give me, we're flipping 1 and 2. I want your second rounder this year, your first rounder next year, your second rounder next year, and your first rounder the year after that. That's pretty historic, wouldn't you say? 2 extra first rounders, a couple extra second rounders.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's
but you know what though? I think even honestly, I'm so simple. If you just flip with me, give me your first rounder next year and your second rounder this year, for me, I'm good. Right? For me, I'm good. But for him, he'll probably get a little bit more than that. But even that, and you're going to get the guy you wanted anyways, being this guy right here on the left, Marvin Harrison Jr. You're going to get paid an extra first-round draft pick next year, a second-round pick this year, plus whatever else, to take a guy that you would take at 1 anyway.
Yeah, right.
And you save money on him. And you save money on Marvin Harrison Jr. because you only save maybe $100,000, maybe a little bit less, But as the years go on, the difference between number 1 and number 2 financially on that rookie deal will end up being a couple $1 million. So then, not only do I get paid to take the guy that I want, you're also saving me money in the long term on that guy, at least for his rookie contract. I think that's what we're looking at with this Fields thing. Obviously, it's going to develop, and we've got some things to do beforehand In fact, it's great that A-Dub's on the night. Good evening, A-Dub. How you doing?
What's up, fellas?
So, A-Dub, I was going to go to some cap news for the Bears, but something popped for the Packers this weekend, yesterday/today, that I think Bears fans are kind of interested in. I know you're definitely interested in. What's up with your running back?
Just something crazy like the idea. Some folks believe in the idea that there's a good chance that if nothing gets worked out, both Jones and Dillon will walk. Like it's already looking to be confirmed that we're not bringing AJ Dillon back, but it's just the kind of talk that's going on. Is like Jones. It's just a matter of whether or not he's going to accept any kind of restructure to his contract and all. It's just that kind of back and forth talk with his agent as far as that matter goes. Like, is he going to accept the restructure and pay cut that we're talking about doing for him, or is it going to come to where we just let him go? But from my perspective, they're not going to let Jones go anywhere.
So, I mean, how many players can we think of, honestly, that has done that? Like, honestly, I mean, are you hearing? Oh, if they take a pay cut, how many of them actually take a pay cut? I can nary think of a one. They usually always get cut. So, I mean, for the Packer fans, you might lose both running backs if that happens. And then, of course, the argument will be, well, they just can cut and re-sign them. No, when they cut them, they cut them. I've never seen them get cut and re-signed from the same team in the same year. So, I mean, if he doesn't agree to this pay cut, I mean, I'm obviously Bakhtiari's probably on the table to some degree to be cut too, with the $20 million cap hit you'd save after if you cut him post June 1st. But I mean, is it worth it to you financially or team wise to maybe lose both your running backs over this?
Personally, we at some point we're going to have to move on from both anyway. I mean, I've seen the AJ Dillon to me being gone only made sense from a perspective of the guy has not been productive as he once was when we first got him. Like when we first drafted him, he was looking to be that bruising guy that we wanted him to be. But once his play had declined and he was regressing, it comes to the point where it is going to be that case that we may let him go after this year. So I'm not surprised about Dillon being gone. But Jones is somebody else. Like you lose him, you lose a great portion of our offense. Like he's pretty much been the heartbeat of this offense for the most part when he's on the field and when he's playing. So I like to think Green Bay should want to work something out.
Right, I agree.
Is it worth it?
No, I kind of agree. I think he proved himself. Every time he gave him a chance, like he would run the ball, he would catch the ball numerous times. He beat the Bears alone by himself.
Yeah, when he didn't
Week
get
one.
that ball, you guys didn't look great. But when he gets it, you guys are in great shape.
Mm-hmm. But you definitely
If
need
they
to
let
get some
Jones-
money involved. And I think, and I said it, weeks ago, and a couple Packer fans are like, "Oh, you're nuts. That's not going to happen. We'll probably just release him." Well, what if he gives money back and saves you $12 million and you only pay him $8 million? Would you do that and keep him around even though he's, a little injury bug the last few years?
Considering what Aaron Jones means to us when it comes to our offense in terms of our value, he's always been willing to take less to stay in. For most of us, we like to see him retire a Packer. So if he's willing to take less and still stay with us, I'm more than willing to take a chance on it, even while we are going to eventually get another running back with this draft coming up.
Yeah, if they let Jones go in, this is what you're going to be hearing out of Chicago. We're going to be laughing, going, you just let your best threat offensively, a game wrecker, walk. because you wanted the cheapskate of money when you could have done other things. Honestly, I think the Packers. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to save cap, but they don't need to put a gun to his head and say, "Well, if you don't take less money, we're going to cut you." Because then what does that do? That creates resentment with the player and management. And Green Bay knows all too well what resentment between player and management happens. What happens on the field when that happens. And I feel bad for Packer fans right now in a sense. And in another sense, I'm rejoicing because thank God Packer fans are having some drama and stress where they're, not going to be able to gloat about being kings of the North anymore. But on the other side, I feel for him because like Aaron Jones, he's the reason Jordan Love was Jordan Love this year. He made Jordan Love good when Jordan Love wasn't. And because of what he was, Jordan Love became a good quarterback or a better quarterback than he was at the beginning of the year. I just think, look, with some guys like Jones, he's earned every penny. And I think if they cut him, he get the same money almost anywhere else. And that's a litmus test. That's probably part of the litmus test right there. It's different than Saquon. If New York lets Saquon test free agency market, right, he's not going to make $15 million a year like he would have if he stayed with the tag in New York. He'll make less, and that's why they'll probably let him test free agency. Jones is going to make the money; he's worth it. But it's just interesting to me that what's even more interesting to me is that we're hearing this about him and not Bakhtiari. We've been talking about Bakhtiari on the morning show, right? On Ken and Ken in the morning, we've been talking about Bakhtiari because after June 1st, he's a $20 million saving on the cap. And obviously his replacement played the whole last year. Bakhtiari played in one game. He had a perfect game against Chicago and then was done for the season. Right. But the Packers already moved on from Bakhtiari for all intents and purposes. So, I'm surprised that they're not talking about Bakhtiari and they're talking about Jones. What do you think, Mike?
All right. I'm actually going to comment on the Dre Hardy thing. He said we let Montgomery walk. Yeah, sometimes you just have to do that. I'm still a Montgomery fan. I give him props, stuff like that, but Poles has been doing a great job as a GM,
Yeah. But Monty's not.
Change it completely around, and you got to remember, Poles was around when they drafted Mahomes. All we hear is about, oh, you let Mahomes pass this and that. Well, so did 9 other teams, but
yeah. And look, Montgomery left. We're still a top rushing team.
It's completely
Nothing
different.
changed.
Like Aaron Jones and Monty, that's apples and oranges, man. Because look at when we let Monty go because we already knew we had another stud running back, and we were okay. And then we signed. We kind of knew we could sign another guy and be okay. Jones is like the catalyst of the Green Bay offense. Like he is a game wrecker, and we know this for a fact because he wrecked Week 1 all by himself, a complete game wrecker. So it's interesting that as we parade off into Packer Nation there, and I'm sure Frozen Tundra will be talking about that on Monday. So, but then between now and then, we still got other things. We're going to see some other cuts. We're going to see some tags. Tags happen by Wednesday, and of course, we're going to have more Caleb Williams stories. And I know, Mike, you wanted to talk about Caleb for a minute. I know you got a jet early tonight. Caleb's had shall we say, a interesting weekend in Indy. So
I watched his press conference. He's a little cocky, for sure. But I felt like he felt entitled to everything. It does not seem like it. Like he doesn't want to give his medical exam, his medical history to all 32 teams, just the teams to visit him. No quarterback has ever done that.
I don't think really.
If you've never been injured in college, what does it matter if they look at it?
It might not be the injury, Mike. I seen that too, and as soon as I seen that, I did a bunch of investigation. Like, hey, why doesn't this guy want to release his medical records? I don't know the ifs and buts about it, but if you Google it, he's had some issues mentally, and I don't want that to be a part of Chicago.
Okay, and then he was asked if he ever thought he wouldn't be the number 1 pick. He never had a second thought he wouldn't be the number 1.
Okay, but I'm fine with that, though. That's fine. That there is fine. That'd be a little cocky. You should be a little cocky. Aaron
I
Rodgers
don't
was
know.
cocky as shit
I
coming
feel
into
like
the
he's
draft,
getting coached
and
by
then
his
and
dad.
but they're all cocky. Look at they're all Aaron Rodgers was cocky as shit when he got to draft, and then he slipped and slipped and slipped, and they gave him a chip on his shoulder. Some guys are cocky and don't pan out, but I mean, Keyshawn was cocky as hell when he was the last receiver taken number one with "Give me the damn rock." They should be cocky if they're at that level. I mean, I don't mind him being cocky. I think what Dre said though is like he's kind of a diva. He's got that diva kind of thing, and he has bust written all over. He reminds me of Jamarcus Russell in certain ways, the way he acts. Jamarcus Russell, of course, was one of the last rookie classes right before the NFL changed it, where he held out for a bigger rookie contract, right? Well, now, this guy has no agent. That's also a red flag for me, considering what happened. It's funny that the two highest profile players without agents both play for Baltimore, and not for Chicago. I mean, but that was a red flag. Oh, he's going to be an agent. We've already heard his father's comments. So now it reminds me of, what's his name from the NBA, Ball, right? Great. Now we got to deal with this guy's dad all over our media and our
Yeah,
news
yeah.
and on our TVs
He's
all
going
the
to be a
time.
huge factor on this team, and he doesn't even play for the
Yeah.
damn team.
I mean, hey, I got to go paint my fingernails. Dre's like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to paint
I
it.
gotta go.
Packers suck. All right. Have a good night, Ken. In
Have a
fact,
good night, Mike.
Have a good night, guys. See you tomorrow.
I'm
Have a
gonna
good night.
quote Peyton Manning. Have a good night. This is what I'm gonna put on my fingernails.
Packers suck.
Because I mean, it's just like the guy he's just got major bust potential. I mean, granted, there's some from his field of play, there's some potential to be a good quarterback, but all the other things, the intangibles, and I swear people are just willing to forego that and act like they're not there just to have the argument to trade Justin Fields and draft Caleb into Chicago. So that I just hey Dre, Mike put the link in the feed for you, so you can hop on. We got about 20 minutes left or so.
I'll share the link again, but just not to interrupt you though, Ken.
Yep.
Dre said
Go
something
ahead.
about our running back room. I personally like our running back room.
Good.
I like Roshan Johnson and I like Cleo Herbert. They need to work on a little pass blocking, but they almost carry the ball 4 yards a carry, and that's pretty good. Don't get me wrong. I think we got to add to that running back room. I don't think Foreman is going to be around because Foreman literally wants to take the load. He wants to be the number one back, and I don't feel like Chicago is trying to get that number one back. I think they're more on let's share the rock.
Well, also he was a healthy scratch at the end of the season, so there's
Yep.
something else going on there. There's a lot more. I was looking for that same comment. Yeah, there was something going on there, Dre, with Deontay Foreman. And you know what? And for A-Dub, maybe that's something that's going on with Aaron Jones in Green Bay. I mean, there could be another issue there. It might just be the money, but the money might be the excuse that Gutekunst is going to use to get rid of Aaron Jones. I mean, I'm just speculating.
Right.
But,
Hey,
I mean,
Dre, there's the link right there. All you got to do is click it.
so it's going to be interesting with the free agent market if Jones does hit the market. I think that's going to change the free agent market. We're going to talk about the free agent running backs tomorrow morning on our Sunday morning show at 11:30 Central, 12:30 Eastern on Roku, Facebook, and YouTube. But I mean, it would definitely change the free agent market if Aaron Jones is released, because hey, you just put another good running back out into the marketplace. And
Yeah,
I
but
think now fans are.
if they release both, it's pretty much saying they're either going to do something in free agency with a running back or both with a draft. And tell me if I'm right, A-Dub. You guys got quite a few picks within the first 100 picks. Am I right? Is it like 5 or something?
Yep. It's 5 picks in the top 100.
Yeah, and that's pretty good.
Yeah, but what's the running back class look like this year, though? That's the problem.
True, but there's a lot of
running back classes that. Oh, there's of course there are a lot of running backs, but that doesn't mean they're any good as far as a class. Like, is there any running back in this class that you would say is first round potential or better than mid second round potential. And then look at that's not a slam because Roshan obviously was later than that. But I mean, now you're going to draft a guy maybe in the third round to be your starting running back.
The only running back I found that could have been worth a first rounder would have been Jonathan Brooks out of Texas, but he's right where he should be as far as one of those that mid to early second round pickup for anybody.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm sorry, I'm still boggled that Aaron Jones is their topic of conversation there, not Bakhtiari. It just boggles my mind.
Hey, Dre, I sent you a private message for the link, so just check your inbox. Yeah, I wasn't trying to talk about running backs because we're talking about that tomorrow. That's why I kind of stuttered and paused and stopped what I was going to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's just with the Aaron Jones thing. I don't want to. We're going to delve into the running backs tomorrow more. I just thought, that we have a Packer fan of the day today, and we don't get Packer fans on often if it's not War Week. And A-Dub's been with us a few times, so I thought, hey, we'll take that as an opportunity to talk a little Packer football, and that was the big news that came out for them today. I mean, A-Dub, are you surprised that they're talking more about Aaron Jones being cut than they are Bakhtiari at this point?
Not at the most, because when it comes to Aaron Jones, it was already going to be a situation I felt to where we were going to have to consider him as somebody that had to restructure just for us to get our cap situation fixed at a time anyway. So the idea of him being a big subject of conversation for most really doesn't surprise me that much.
Yeah, and I mean that's only news. Really, the division hasn't had much news. I'm sorry not to cut you there, but I want to tie that in with Steven. Really, nothing. With the press conference Wednesday with polls at the beginning of the combine, and they said that the trade talks with Jaylon Johnson are moving. They made a strong offer. He used the word strong a lot. The offer was strong. The foundation was strong. The guarantee was strong. The position was strong. He used that word a lot. So now Poles said this. Poles said he does not want to use a transition tag at all this year. And so that would make me want to think that they're going to try to get a deal done by Wednesday, which is the tag deadline. And welcome to the show, a guy who's been watching for a long time, and we finally get to see him face to face. Hey, Dre, welcome to the show.
Hey, appreciate it, man.
Been seeing you in the comments for a while there, man. Good to have you on.
Yeah, like I said, I've been a Bears fan since '65, man.
See, we're a bunch of old heads here. I don't go back to '65. I'm a few years after. But unlike Mike, the other Mike who just left, who wasn't even alive for the Super Bowl, you and I went to games in '85.
He's almost 20 years older than me.
So Dre, what do you think of the Caleb Fields thing? I mean, like me, you've been around this team for a while. What do you think about the way this drama's unfolded, and what do you think Poles will eventually do?
I just personally, I think it's too much drama. I think Poles needs to come out and say what he's going to do. And it's, because, he says, yeah, Justin's in a great area, but, why keep somebody in that position like that when you already know what you're going to do? They already have a plan.
Yep. Yeah, but couldn't you say though, Dre, like, you've heard me say before, this is part of the plan to get someone to pay you to take the guy you want to take in the draft. So maybe Justin, here's another way to maybe think of it. Is it possible that Justin already knows he's not going to be traded at all, and all of it is just to make this happen right here, and that he has to endure all the stupid tags so that Ryan Poles can get paid a king's ransom just to take the guy they were going to take all along?
Well, sometimes you have to sit back and wonder. My thing on the whole take is Justin has never had the development that he needed. Starting with Nagy, he didn't get it. You bring in Luke Getsky, who tried to change him from a running, throwing quarterback to a pocket passer. My thing is, they should have called Ryan Day at Ohio State and got his thing on Justin. Justin was 20-2 at Ohio State. He lost 2 games out of 22 games. So evidently, he was able to develop Justin into a good quarterback, and with his athleticism, it showed.
I agree with you, and we've gone numbers. We've looked at the numbers. We've looked at the surface numbers. We've looked at the deeper numbers, right? Dirty pocket, clean pocket, and all that. And I'm kind of like with you, Dre. It's a lot of drama. I think a lot of the drama is more media fueled than it is team fueled. Obviously, if Foles wants to get paid to take Marvin Harrison Jr., he has to create a little something to make people think we might take Caleb. I don't know. But Steven, your comment. So I take it by Steven's comment. Steven thinks that we're taking Caleb, and that Fields is gone. Tell me if that's not what you were thinking, but the deal's not done that we heard about Wednesday. He's not going to Atlanta. They actually would prefer a different quarterback altogether.
Kirk Cousins,
You can
obviously.
be very, yeah. But look at. All right, Dre. If you're Caleb, wouldn't you be very confident right now, and be a little brash maybe, and the ego be a little big, because I'm going to go number 1. Wouldn't you be saying the same thing if you're Caleb?
Yeah, but the thing is that you can be confident but not cocky. You got to be confident and not cocky and overbearing.
So let's I just had an idea. Let's go back. So would you say Caleb is more of a Mahomes, humble, gentle type, or not gentle, but humble team guy, or more of an AB, Antonio Brown type?
Antonio Brown. Easy.
A-Dub, what do you think when you look at Caleb?
I look at a guy who pretty much could be the answer, but at the same time, just an unpolished project that has much to prove and much to show before he would show that kind of attitude. Like, if he's cocky as you say he is, he's already setting himself up for failure when it comes to being unproven and untested. So
that's why to me he reminds me of Jamarcus Russell. Go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, but then Jamarcus Russell to me was already ready. To me, he was already damaged goods the moment he came in, given, from my perspective, his work ethic. Like, when he came into the league, I wasn't thinking too much of Jamarcus Russell to be that great as some people said he would be. Some folks got it, some folks don't, but
right. He's very he's very athletic for sure. But the question is, which a lot of other quarterbacks is, college is different than pro. He could come out and be a banger, or he can come out and be a Ryan Leaf.
Or Johnny Manziel.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the other thing too. People are like, oh, but his college numbers 4,000 yards. Playing against who? Like, I'm sorry, but the Big Ten is playing the Big Ten, the SEC more consistently. Some of the toughest college football games you're going to see played. Those are the teams playing. Who is SC playing? UCLA. When was the last time UCLA was relevant? When was the last time Oregon was actually relevant? They're still pretty decent, but Washington, Arizona, most of these teams in their conference aren't even relevant most years. Whereas guys are playing like where Justin played, right? They're playing Bama, they're playing FSU, they're playing Penn State, they're playing Michigan, who just won the national championship. I mean, when's the last time a national championship came from a West Coast college team? It's these guys are playing. How often do they play Clemson? How often do they play Auburn? They don't often at all.
We've been seeing a lot of posts. I know you guys have. Is if Poles doesn't draft Caleb Williams, he should be fired. Well, what if all of a sudden they trade away Justin Fields and he is it, and then we drafted a quarterback that wasn't it? You know what I mean? He can get fired that way too.
I look at it this way. If you draft Caleb, you have not addressed any of the problems that you had with Justin. If you draft Marvin Harrison Jr., you're addressing the problems that you've had with your quarterbacks over the last couple of years. The last time you had a quarterback that had two good receivers was who? Jay Cutler. And what do you do with those two wide receivers and a good running back? Had the number 2 rated offense in the league. Unfortunately, we had the worst defense in the league. So we wasted that offense.
Here's the thing. Mm-hmm. When have you ever heard a kid say, "I'm immortal"? I've never heard that,
brother. I know.
Never.
Hey, when he says also, this is the, when Caleb says I'm immortal, that's the conference. Everyone's like, "What? Did he just say that?"
and you set yourself up for failure too. And another thing I would say. Yep. And another thing I was going to say is that when you miss on a I said this before on another show, that if you miss on a quarterback, it usually takes your franchise back a lot of years. Like that's always going to be that kind of story. Missing on a quarterback can take you back years when it comes to how much of a miss that is and what kind of effect it has on your team going forward.
Yeah, and I'm like, look, you're committed to Fields, right? Worst case scenario, you give him 2 more years. He doesn't work out. Then you draft Arch Manning. Now I'm not back. If I draft Caleb, right, and Caleb is a joke, and he's a Jamarcus Russell bomb. He's Johnny Manziel, Caleb Williams, or Caleb Johnny Manziel Williams is what he becomes. I am missing out on any chance of Arch Manning. If I keep Justin Fields and it doesn't work out, I have a window to get Arch Manning. Bear down, Ken. Oh, there's a name from the past. Whoa, Ken Ward back in the day when we used to have the NFC North Trash Talk division. Woo! Haven't seen Ken in a while. But I don't know. I mean, that makes more sense to me. I stay with Fields. I mean, look at Dre. If Fields bombs out, would you rather have a shot at Arch Manning in 2 years or roll the dice on Caleb? And if Caleb doesn't work, then wait 3 years, 4 years to get another quarterback again, and probably another head coach, and probably 3 or 4 more OCs.
Well, you know what? Like I said, I've been going through this for 40 years. You guys are younger than me. I've seen this growing up.
I just like that he said I'm younger than him. I'm not much younger than him, but I just like that he said that. So for that right there, I'm not the old guy. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting, guys. We have about 4 minutes left, really. We got some things to see. Obviously, we're gonna have our show tomorrow, 11:30 in the morning. But we got some things that happened this week. So let me ask this real quick, Dre. Do you think Jaylon Johnson gets signed by Wednesday, or are we using gonna have to use a tag on Johnson?
I hope JJ gets signed. He needs to be signed.
A-Dub, do you think that Aaron Jones is going to be cut within the next week or two, or do you think he's going to take a restructure for less money?
I'd say he gets restructured and brought back. I mean, if anything that's been happening, if anything I'm already certain about, Jones has always been willing to take a cut and stay here. Like, he's always had that rapport that he loves Green Bay and he enjoys every other year's playing for us. So it wouldn't surprise me if he stays, and that's what I'm counting on at the most, is that he's always been cooperative and willing to take a cut to stay. And I say even now he'll still take another one and he'll stay. It's not him that I would have a problem with, it's his agent.
Bear down, Mike. Mike, the Bear fan. I know you've got some thoughts. What do you think is going to be the biggest news coming out of Chicago by Wednesday, by tag day?
By tag day? I think the fields are going to drag out a little longer. Paul said it himself. He does not want to use the franchise tag on Jaylon. I think they make an agreement. I think he makes about $21 million per year.
We are 11 days away now, 10 days in a wake up from the beginning of the NFL season on the 13th of March, which is the first day a trade can be announced. That means a week from Wednesday. We have until Wednesday for tags. A week later, they can start doing trades. I'm wondering, obviously we can't have any trade with the draft pick if players are involved, right, before the 13th, is the way I understand it.
Correct.
I think if they're just going to straight up swap draft picks, they can do that. So does anyone here think that we will see a trade by, within the net before the 13th of the Bears train out at number one where no players are involved?
Are you talking about with Fields?
Well, it could be Fields or just trading the draft pick and then not trading Fields at all.
Okay, I
would
see
say
the draft. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dre.
I would say the draft pick, but here's my thing. Like I said, I've been around a long time. I would not get rid of Fields. I would not get rid of Fields for the simple reason we have not developed this kid. He's 24 years old. He's had three offensive coordinaters, and now you've brought in somebody that can adjust him. You brought in Shane Waldron from Seattle that said, I can make him a quarterback, or I can make whoever's going to be quarterback a quarterback. I want to see that.
Hey, we've got about a minute left. I just want to make a note of something. I want to make a note of something. We got Dre on today. Thank you, Dre, for coming on. I know you've been watching us for a long time. And then of course we have an old friend we haven't heard from a long time. Ken pops back up. I want to just say something. Ken, and Dre, all three of us, we're Bears old heads. We've been watching this team for decades. All three of us are saying the same thing. Keep Fields, build around them. If the older fan base who's been around watching this team a long time is saying it, maybe there's something to what we're saying, because maybe we've seen a thing or two. We're like farmers. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. And speaking of seeing a thing or two, don't forget to see us tomorrow, 11:30 in the morning on Roku, Facebook, and YouTube. I want to thank A-Dub. I want to thank Dre, Bear Fan Mike, D-Roy from Skull. All of you, I want to thank all of you for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.